Hello everyone and welcome back to Neptune's Child Tarot. Thank you all so much for being here for another pick a card reading. Today we are going to be doing what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention. And then we're going to be asking Spirit, where should you be focusing your energy? Okay, so what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? We'll find out what that is, what's going on around whatever that situation is for you, and then where we should where we should focus the energy instead. Okay, so we do have 3 crystals out here for you guys to choose from today. For group number 1, you are going to be this yellow Aventurine. For group number 2, you're going to be Chrysacolla. And then for group number 3, you're going to be this fire agate heart. And I do apologize, my air conditioning is a little noisy. My tarot room is close to where the, what is that? I guess the condenser is. When it turns on, it's a little noisy. So I do apologize. It'll turn off in a few minutes. Okay, so let's see. What aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? Now, if you already feel drawn to one of the crystals that is here, you can certainly go right to the timestamp and go straight to your reading. But I am going to be adding in one of these cards for those of you that need the extra help with making your choice. So let's see. What aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? That will be for group 1. Group 2. And group 3. Okay, so let's see what we've got. Group 1, we have card number 13 with the crow, and that is with the yellow Aventurine. Group number 2, we have card number 54, the Sweat Lodge, and that is with the Chrysacolla. Group number 3, we have card number 56 with Thunder, and that was with this little fire agate heart. Okay, so those are the choices for today. What aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? We're going to find out what that is, and then where Spirit feels you should be focusing your energy on at this time. So once again, group 1 with the crow, card number 13, and yellow Aventurine. Group 2, the Sweat Lodge, card number 54 with Chrysacolla. And then group number 3, Thunder, card 56 with the fire agate heart. Timestamps will be down below. Pause the video if you need a little bit more time to meditate on the artwork, the keyword, the crystal, whatever is drawing you in the most. If you do feel drawn to more than one of the groups, that is perfectly okay for the topic for today. Go with whatever your intuition is telling you about for this reading. And I will see you over there. Hi, group 1. So those of you that resonated with the crow, card number 13, and the yellow Aventurine, this is going to be your reading today. So We're finding out what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention. We're going to find out what that is, and then we're going to see where Spirit is kind of guiding or directing you to focus your intention instead, or your attention instead. Now, this Crow card is about the universal laws of truth. So we're going to see how this is kind of playing into your reading here today. We're going to pull the tarot and see what is coming through. So maybe it is some type of truth that we need to speak, maybe needing to act. It could be some type of truth that we are maybe not seeing, keeping ourselves in an illusion versus truth and reality. So let's see what is going on here, or what this is about. The truth about something or someone or a situation. What aspect of group number 1's life is taking up too much of their attention? The 5 of Cups. This is our emotions. The 5 of Cups has to do with sadness, grief, disappointment, regret, guilt, feeling discouraged, feeling hopeless. It can even be talking about depression, feeling a lot of heaviness emotionally. So maybe this is about, making me think about truth behind certain emotions or feelings that we're having, or why we're feeling a certain way. Let's see. What aspect of group 1's life is taking up too much of their attention? Two of Cups. We have the 10 of Swords. So this has something to do with a relationship. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic in nature. It can be, certainly. It could be a friendship. It may even be a family member. Ten of Swords is here, which is pain, suffering. We have the Sun. What aspect of group 1's life is taking up too much of their attention? The 8 of Cups. The 8 of Pentacles. Now, this feels like something from the past. Some kind of maybe emotions or pain that we're holding on to from a past situation. The 8 of Cups is about letting go, releasing. The 8 of Pentacles is about discipline and, certainly focus. It could be something for some of you that is affecting your work, your career. It feels like personal relationships, okay? Like I said, I'm not going to limit it to just being something romantic, but this does look like something with someone, whether platonic, romantic, or a family situation, that is still weighing heavily on your mind, on your heart, and there is a need for release here, for emotional detachment, because in a way, I'm also noticing here how, like, in this Five of Cups card, how they're doing the same thing here too, the little crows there, but all the crows there are kind of hovering over that figure that's on the ground. Almost kind of creating like this distraction of energy here, like almost like an energy of dwelling in something. The Five of Cups is about grief, grieving. Now, of course, everyone processes things in their own way. But it feels like this could be something that, because of the emotional place that this situation can take you to, it can take you away from focusing on other things in your life. And of course, relationships that we have with others are an important part of our life. But let's see, we've got the Four of Pentacles in reverse. What aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? Five of Wands, Six of Swords, and then we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. Okay. It feels like it's kind of creating an unstable energy here. Something that is creating a lot of conflict. I feel like the short answer here is, as far as what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention, it has to do with others, other people, other relationships that you have with others. You know, and of course, relationships that we have with other people, no matter which kind they are, they're not always easy. Sometimes they can be very complicated. There can be sometimes fighting, arguing, where it kind of brings in a lot of energy, you know, that we're having to deal with or observe, or we might feel the need to react in a certain way to it. And it kind of feels that with the Six of Swords energy here, this is moving towards calmer waters, more peace, more calm. Because I feel like what Spirit's saying here is that the focus on this, whether it's a past situation that you're still kind of lingering in those energies, or it's something that's happening right now, you know, and it's not to say that you shouldn't honor your feelings, you should, but we don't want to stay there. We don't want to get stuck there. Because I feel like with the Eight of Wands in reverse, this can talk about delays and setbacks. And I'm noticing this Eight of Pentacles here is, you know, the Eight of Pentacles is about hard work, commitment, dedicated effort into something. And that could be work, that could be school, hobbies, talents, you know, studying something, learning something. It could be you at work, you know, maybe this is work relationships that are causing you grief or making you feel unhappy. Or if you are, let's just say that you're at a job right now that you feel unhappy with, you know, and you're wanting to leave, because the Six of Swords can also be about moving on. So it feels like a situation here that is bringing forth a lot of uncomfortable feelings, thoughts, emotions. There is some kind of lack of security in whatever this is. Maybe it's a job that we no longer feel good in, or maybe it's a relationship situation, or maybe it's a past relationship situation that has just kind of put us in this energy here. And, you know, the sun is here, which is about joy and happiness and success and abundance. And if there's something else that's kind of taking that away, draining us mentally, emotionally, you know, sometimes we can allow what's going on externally, like with other people, to really affect us and to really even sometimes derail us, to take our distract us in some way. Like, let's just use the example of, you know, we go to a family party, and at that family party people are not getting along, and they're fighting with each other and saying a lot of not so nice things. And then you stayed at that party for like, I don't know, 4 to 6 hours, and then you went home in a bad mood because of all the drama that's at the party. And then you're carrying that energy, and then, you know, you start maybe arguing with the people that you were at home with, and then we've brought the energy home with us, and it's starting to just weigh on us heavily. We start to think about, you know, everything that happened and who said what and who's mad at who. And, you know, now we've spent, let's just say, half the day in that energy about that situation, and there were other things we wanted to do that day. Maybe we wanted to start that project we wanted to start. So now it's like it's taking away from us. So let's see, I feel like I want to clarify the sun here. 6 of Pentacles, Knight of Swords, and the Strength card. This could even be something that Spirit is saying, where these, you know, relationships, dealings with other people, maybe it's an environment you're in, you know? That it's starting to affect, for some of you, like I said, mentally, emotionally. And it may even be kind of, because I'm noticing the 5 of Wands here. Look at all these birds fighting with each other. The 5 of Wands is about conflict, fights, arguments, tension, disagreements, you know, petty arguments, fighting over silly things, right? And we have the Knight of Swords energy here, which is, I kind of see both the good side of that and also the not so good side of that with the Knight of Swords, because the Knight of Swords is a very focused energy, which is great, but it's also incredibly impulsive energy. It's very fast moving. It's more like the energy of being on the defense, perhaps being reactive, confrontational. And we have the Strength card here, which is about control, self-control, control of the ego, control of the impulsivity. So I almost feel like whatever the situation is for each of you, how it's causing some kind of mental or emotional upset, anguish, feeling of being drained or tired with something that's really weighing on you, that has to do with things that are external to you. that it could be something where you spend a lot of your mental and emotional energy focusing on that. And it's the exchange of energy that's kind of happening there, the energy that we're giving to it, even long after the fact something is done, right? And so with the Strength card here, I kind of feel that this has a lot to do with us keeping our energy calm. More grounded, more balanced, more harmonious. And sometimes that is something that does require discipline, to not let, right, certain things to affect us. I feel like this is kind of where we need some strong energetic boundaries, you know, because it's very easy for us to kind of get lost in thought about certain things, and then we start to get, let's just say it's something that made us upset, right? And then we start to get angry, and then we're wasting a lot of that energy thinking about, well, if that person comes to me again and they say something, then I'm going to respond like this. And it's just like, there goes so much of that energy, you know. And it doesn't even need to be that, you know, something negative in that way. Like I said, some of you might be at a place right now where you're in an environment, or you're at a workplace that you feel like you've outgrown, or you want to move on from, and you feel unhappy with the job that you're at. You know, the Five of Wands is also about competition, jealousy. So if you have people around you who are like competing with you, and you know, we're just tired of it, tired of that kind of energy, you know? So it kind of feels like a lot of external things here that could be affecting you mentally and emotionally, where it might be hard for us to kind of maintain a sense of groundedness, a sense of balance and harmony within the self. And there's a need for us to kind of focus on more calming energy. And maybe that means changing the environment. Okay. So I'm going to pull some oracle here. I mean, maybe some of you quite literally work too much. You know, too much. Like there's a lack of balance there. Or we're allowing, again, things external to us to throw us off our routine. Right? We're letting you know, another person, like if we have a goal and we're trying to stay focused on that goal and have a kind of timeline of figuring things out, and then in comes family member who's like, hey, can you do this for me? And instead of saying no, no, I'm busy right now, we could be allowing a lot of like those external kind of sources to distract us from staying focused on what our goal is. Or if, like I said, if we're trying to study something, we're trying to learn something, we're trying to improve finances, we're trying to nurture a career or a hobby or a skill or a talent, and there's so many external things kind of going on that it's throwing us out of our focus. You know, and maybe that's because the Strength card is also about being brave, being bold, be courageous, being strong, but also gentle and kind. So there's also nice ways of saying, hey, I'm busy. You know, instead of raging at someone and causing fights and arguments. But yeah, let's see what's going on here. So anything else about this spirit, about for group one, what aspect of their life is taking up too much of their attention? You know, maybe it's something that's throwing our routine off. Maybe we had a routine going and we were doing it well, and then all of a sudden we're starting to allow external influences to affect the way that we work, change the way that we think, influence our decisions, and then we're just thrown off, out of alignment. I know I've had those times in my own life where I had years and years ago where I was living with a certain family member and that family member didn't have any boundaries. And when I was trying to focus on work and getting something done, it was like the whole, what are you doing? When are you going to be done? And, just starts talking about all kinds of other things. And then before you know it, my day is gone just on nonsense because I didn't set boundaries. Lesson learned. But yeah, just stuff like that. Let's see. Okay, so we have the cosmic womb with the divine feminine. And then we have winter's dream with gestation period. At the bottom of the deck, I am seeing falling angel here with spiritual narcolepsy. What this is kind of giving to me is that, all of us, we are all on a spiritual journey, whether or not we are consciously aware of it or not. And the spiritual narcolepsy card can be like a falling angel we literally have there. It makes me feel when we get so consumed by our 3D life that we lose sight of what our true authentic path is, what our purpose is, what our mission is. And it's important for us to do things in our life that have purpose, that have meaning, because they're more fulfilling for our soul. So in a way, it's important for us to be wise with what we choose to give our energy to, who we choose to give our energy to, what we choose to allow into our life, so that it doesn't become something that distracts us from what our path is and what our goals are. And we have the cosmic womb here and also winter's dream, which to me, they're kind of very similar energies. We have got the divine feminine here and gestation period. And gestation period is a time of rest. It makes me think about the Empress card and how we can normally see the Empress on the tarot being depicted as pregnant. And during pregnancy, right, the baby is growing in utero and developing. So in a way, we could be creating here. We could be nurturing something that we're meant to do, meant to create. So it makes me feel that, these can certainly be things, again, that we're letting kind of external to us to affect what we create, how we create, the time in which we create it. And to also, like I said, not to say that we have to ignore feelings and emotions. We should most definitely honor them, but not allow ourselves to just sit in it and become that emotion. We want to allow ourselves to feel, to observe, to have an awareness, right, of what is coming up for us, and then be able to then move through that energy and not linger in it. Because I want to kind of look at this spiritual narcolepsy here. Let's see. And you know, you could be someone who is spiritually awakened. And you could be surrounded by people, and not in any way to say that they are less than you, right? Because you've had a spiritual awakening. But sometimes you can have people around you who have not awakened on their path, who have not had a spiritual awakening. And they're very focused on the 3D world and, you know, material world. And they don't have that interconnectedness with their higher self, with the divine, and might kind of pull you back into that energy. And of course, once you awaken, there is no undoing that. You can't unsee. You are awakened. But it is also a choice, because I've also, you know, heard of different people that I've watched over the years of spiritual community, where I've seen certain people that have mentioned that they started to get tired of being on the spiritual path and wanted it to stop, wanted to go back, wanted to go back to being unawakened. Because I feel like sometimes when you're on and you're awakened to your spiritual path, you almost, for sometimes, because I've been through this too, where you feel almost like pressured. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Where am I supposed to be? What is next for me? And what am I supposed to heal now? And, you know, like we feel like we have to do all these things, you know? Or, like I said, you're surrounded by people who have not awakened, and you can kind of feel where there is a huge difference in terms of where your mindset is at and where their mindset is at, in terms of purpose and mission and, you know, being in alignment and paying attention to those types of things. Okay? And we too, you know, even if you have had a spiritual awakening, you can sometimes get kind of pulled right back into being out of balance, where we might be giving too much attention to the 3D and neglecting our spiritual self. Okay, so what is this about spiritual narcolepsy? King of Wands, the Four of Cups, and is this the King? No, it's the Queen. Queen of Swords. Yeah, this feels like a distraction, or ignoring or being distracted from taking decisive action, from, you know, because the King of Wands is about leadership. Maybe this is continuing with something that you're wanting to do. You know, the Four of Cups energy too, we can feel unhappy here, discontent. Again, emotions that we're dealing with that distract us from, you know, the Queen of Swords is about clarity, about clear thinking, decision making, discernment. And the King of Wands would more or less be us forging a path, a new path for ourselves, taking the lead, stepping up, taking things in a different direction. We can also miss things here too because we are distracted, right? Your higher self could be saying, hey, here's an opportunity over here, or your path is over here this way, and we're just consumed again by external. Okay, so now what I would like to do, we're going to ask Spirit now, where should you... I'm going to clear this away. I'm going to save these. Where should you focus your energy? You know, maybe some of you are giving too much of your energy to others and not to self. Okay, so where should group 1 focus their energy? What should they be focusing on right now? What should they be focusing on right now? The Tower. The Tower is release. 5 of Swords. Okay, so 5 of Swords has to do with negativity. It has to do with self-sabotaging, maybe behaviors for some of you, or thoughts, people, environments that are bringing in drama, that are bringing in negativity into your life. People that don't treat you well. Where should you focus? 4 of Swords in reverse. Yeah, this 4 of Swords in reverse is when we are feeling mentally unstable. Our mind is not at peace. We don't feel a sense of calm inside. You know, we're rattled with, like I said, maybe other people's saying certain things, doing certain things. Or again, this might be our own thinking, our own self-sabotaging thoughts. The Tower is releasing them. So of course we have to be aware, right, that we're doing it. Where should group 1 focus their energy? Page of Cups. The Strength card. And also, you know, if you are someone who is toxic, has toxic traits, toxic behaviors, if you're someone who gets very defensive, aggressive, confrontational, you say mean and hurtful things, and you got a temper, you become very reactive, you allow, you know, what's going on in your environment or another people to get under your skin and take you to a level that you might not be proud of. You know, we have the Strength card here, which is about being calm, calming your energy. So sometimes if you look at this lion here too, like this lion looks like its mouth is wide open, like it's raging, roaring, right? And the Strength card it has a lot to do with our self-control of the ego's impulsivity. You know, when we're dealing with difficult feelings, emotions, things that make us angry, things that make us sad. or if we take impulsive actions. The strength card is where we reel it in, where we learn to gain control of that energy within us. We don't lash out. We don't let ourselves get overwhelmed with emotions to the point where it starts to affect and overlap other areas of our life. Like, we can allow ourselves to feel those difficult emotions and thoughts, which are not always positive, right? Some days we can have that are amazing, where we feel good, we feel happy, we feel positive and optimistic. And then other days we don't feel like that, right? We feel crappy. We wake up in a bad mood and, short-tempered and not enough sleep maybe sometimes, and we just feel irritated. So I feel like the important thing is to recognize how much our emotions and our mental state of being is important for us to stay in balance, because it affects us, right? In a lot of different ways. It can help us or create poor judgment, decision-making skills, because, and I've seen this happen too before in my own real life. This was back when I was still in nursing school. And I remember that when we were doing shadowing nurses in the hospital before we got our licenses, we were doing our internship, and we were kind of shadowing other nurses. And I remember the nurse that I had who was teaching me, she had just broken up with her boyfriend. I think it was like the night before. She did not sleep the whole night. And when she came in onto shift at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was there as a student nurse, right, supposed to be learning from her, she was a mess. Her eyes were all swollen. Like, I felt so bad because she was sad, but she couldn't focus, and she couldn't focus. She couldn't think straight. Like, I was asking her questions and she was not there, So there's a lot of things that we can have, of course, happen in life that can take us to some places mentally and emotionally. And it's important for us to, yes, observe the feelings, the thoughts that these things kind of bring about, but it's also just as important for us to have responsibility over those emotions and thoughts, and to do our best to not let them just completely take control and take over, because it does overlap into other areas of our life, right? Like, we could have something super important that we need to do at work, and we need to be clear and focused. Maybe we need to give a presentation in front of a bunch of people that's super important to upper management. And, we're going through something emotionally, and we don't have that ability to kind of separate, and learn to master those emotions, where we do allow them to affect, us in ways that might not be the greatest. So I do feel like Spirit is really wanting collective to focus on the Strength card energy here. The Strength card is that more of a grounded energy. It's you having power over your ego, which is what this is. It has a lot to do with our ego, versus letting it control you. And that includes, right, the thoughts, the emotions, and any other of those ego-driven, led, impulsive, get us in trouble, make the wrong choices, kind of energy. And that would more or less be the unhealthy aspects of the ego that could happen, right? Because the Five of Swords can also be about resentment and anger. And we could be walking around with a chip on our shoulder because we're upset because of something that someone said or did to us 10 years ago. And now we put out all that kind of negative energy towards other people. Or if we've got trust issues and, we're like I said, a person who's got a spicy tongue, and we need to just kind of reel it in a little bit, you know? So I do want to clarify the Tower here. What is that? The Star in reverse. Yeah, so Star in reverse is when we have a loss of faith, a loss of hope, a lack of trust. We're being more pessimistic and negative. We don't believe in self anymore. We don't believe in others anymore. We don't trust others. We have the Hermit here and the Judgment card. So whatever these past events have been, or like I said, some of you might be going through it right now, the Hermit is about taking time to reflect, taking time to heal, taking time to think about what wisdom you've gained from your past. Judgment is also here. Judgment is also about release. Okay? The Wheel of Fortune is here, which is about changes. It's about dealing with the life, basically, right? Life. This has to do with things that are outside of our control. It's the divine's will. And we can't control everything. We're going to have those times in our life that are not great. But we have to learn how to navigate through the ups and the downs. And when we're in the down, it's not always, like I said, it's not always pleasant. You know, because the emotions that we feel, the thoughts that we might have during those times can be a lot for us to process. And it'd be hard for us to kind of pick ourselves back up. But the better that we are able to handle those fluctuations, right, in energy and life and the cycles that we kind of go through, it helps us to learn to navigate life better. Because not everything that we go through is easy, right? It's not always painless. Sometimes things are hard and traumatic sometimes. But in order for us to keep going and keep moving, we have to learn how to deal with our emotions, how to handle them, how to let ourselves feel them and work through them and honor them when they are coming up, and to speak about them and to speak the truth, right? The crow is all about the truth. Are we feeling angry? Are we feeling resentful? Are we feeling a deep pain that we need to honor? Right? A lot of this energy is about release, about letting go. And I know some of you are super strong and you're like, no, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm good. This happened to me, but I'm good. I'm fine. And we're not. Sometimes we're not. So take some time to focus on you and how you're feeling and check in with yourself every day. It's okay to have days where you're sad or where we're angry. But again, we don't want to allow whatever those emotions or thoughts are to just completely throw us off. So we do have to learn how to navigate through them, even the difficult ones. And I've had those days too, where there's been things that have happened and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I have no clue how I am going to get over this. How I'm going to live another day to not feel this pain or this, whatever it was that I was going through and experiencing, shame or guilt, So yeah, I certainly feel like Spirit is wanting you to ask yourself, and I'm seeing the Empress here at the bottom. Take time to nurture you. Take care of your own needs. Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave this here for you, group 1. I do hope this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next reading. Hi, group 2. So those of you that resonate with card number 54, the Sweat Lodge and the Chrysacolla. Now, I just got done with group 1, and I'm kind of feeling that your group might be connected to group 1. I'm not sure yet, but it kind of feels like it might be. We're going to see what the energy is that does come through. But the Sweat Lodge card is basically an invitation for us to take time to direct our attention and energy inwards of things that we need to address. So that is what's kind of making me feel like it could be connected to group 1. It could be overlapping into this group, but we'll see. So if you did feel drawn to group 1 as well, then there could certainly be some messages there for you as well. So let's see what's coming through here. So group 2, what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? We have the Queen of Pentacles, the 10 of Swords, Six of Pentacles, the 4 of Wands. The 9 of Wands. Wheel of Fortune, Page of Cups. Three of Swords. Okay, so yeah, I do feel like this is a continuation of group 1. Okay. So you might want to watch both. The Star. 9 of Swords, 5 of Swords, 3 of Swords. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to read a little bit about the Sweat Lodge for you. This is the Mystical Shaman Oracle. So 54. Okay, so it says the Sweat Lodge represents the womb of Mother Earth. Volcanic stones are heated in a fire outside, then brought into the lodge and placed in a shallow hole in the center. Participants sit in the complete darkness around the red-hot stones to sweat away old habits and beliefs and heal disease. When you return humbly to the womb of the mother, you are offered second chances. This is a time to journey inward into the dark and hidden places of your soul to reconnect with the ancient earth wisdom. You can also create a sacred and intimate space in the dark by lighting a candle. Observe what emerges and without judging it, invite it to bring you its gifts. You are being offered an opportunity to shed and heal from the aspects of your life you have outgrown. Do not worry that you will be consumed by the process. Life is offering you a second chance. Take it, since this chance may not come your way again for a while. Mother Earth is calling you into her womb and inviting you to incubate as long as needed for a spiritual rebirth. And group 1 had these 2 cards that came out about divine feminine, the cosmic womb, and there was another one about gestation period, which gestation period is a period during pregnancy, right? The gestation where the baby is being formed in utero. And so it doesn't have to be a literal pregnancy, but it can be something that something new that we're birthing, that we're creating. So it says, gift yourself time to be in your darkness, or with your darkness, your fears, your pain, and your seeds of beautiful potential until you come out the other side free, wise, and full of creativity. Now, with the tarot that's here, this does look like past relationship things that are coming through here today. This could be breakups, divorce. I didn't want to limit it in group number 1 to just romantic relationships, friendships, family situations that have caused pain, heartbreak, going through infidelity, cheating, betrayal, lies, deception, feeling betrayed by a family member, by a friend, or even us, being in that position where we may have done that to others, So I do feel like there is a lot of similarities in this energy here. And I feel that in the way that this card is talking about a second chance for you, is that this card is a lot about releasing and a lot of letting go. We have the star energy here, which is about healing. And of course, when we go through things, as I was telling group 1, when we go through things that are very painful, we can hold on to a lot of energy from those past situations. It can affect us mentally, emotionally, physically, sometimes spiritually, and it can weigh on us and, leave us in a place where we feel very wounded and tired and drained and, exhausted from everything that we may have had to go through and experience. But the Wheel of Fortune is here, which is about change and about being able to kind of move out of these cycles that may have brought us into some places that we don't wish to revisit or that we wish to move out of. And so the Page of Cups is also here. Page of Cups for some of you might mean inner child healing. It might mean a focus on self-love for you right now. So when we're asking this question, what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? It could be that there is a lot of mental and emotional energy that is being drained by painful situations from the past. And especially for those of you where you have been manipulated, you have been the manipulator, you have been defensive or holding resentment or anger, or been a part of a lot of negativity, or even surrounded by it being in that energy, being in that environment, holding on to energy of people who have wronged you, people who've hurt you, people who have, maybe even said some things that hurt you in a deep way. And so there is an emphasis here on releasing and healing, letting go. And I feel like, was it today's reading that I did for channel members, I believe, was also about forgiving and healing, forgiving self, forgiving others. And I feel like that's kind of and I didn't expect this either when I thought of this topic, what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention. But, relationships do play a huge role in our life. Platonic, familial ones, romantic ones, relationships that we have with coworkers, work colleagues, they all play a major role in our life, and we learn a lot from them. We can teach others a lot with experiences that we share with other people. But I'm noticing, with the aspect of our life that does take up a lot of our attention, and sometimes it's where we overly focused on things that are outside of us, or and not that we shouldn't pay attention to relationships that we have in our life, but I feel like it's also important to give our time and our energy to the ones that are also adding value to our life, to the ones that are reciprocal, to the ones that are healthy, to the ones that we are actively working with, another person to improve. Like, let's just say if it's a family relationship and it's a toxic one, and you and the family member are wanting to make things better, and you're both actively working to improve self so that you can come together and be better versions of yourself. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes we are in relationships with people where you may want to heal and grow and move beyond certain things, and the other person that you're dealing with doesn't care to do that, and may continue to cause issues in our life if we hold on to them. So this does look like this is coming from past, okay? Whether it's a breakup, whether it's a divorce, whether it's like I said, a family situation, that could be taking away a lot of our energy, and so I'm seeing like a huge, I feel like focus here, a need for focusing on healing. It is definitely a very big message that Spirit has been bringing through in this reading today for both your group and group 1. There's a lot of pain here in this group. A lot, going through a lot of very difficult things. So the Wheel of Fortune, I'm going to clarify this, because the Wheel of Fortune can also talk about cycles. And are we repeating cycles here? Let's see. Why is the Wheel of Fortune here? Yeah. So, yeah. We've got the Death card in reverse, Hanged Man, Queen of Swords in reverse. Okay. Yeah. So, of course, this is a general reading. The situation that you have gone through, maybe there's one that sticks out in your mind as the most painful, the most challenging. And for others of you, this might be many different things that you've gone through. Okay. Now, with the Death card in reverse, this is a resistance to change. Perhaps there are certain situations and cycles, like I said, that we keep repeating. Patterns of behavior that we're kind of stuck in. Now, the Queen of Swords is coming in reverse, which is clouded judgment, irrational thinking. Excuse me. Some of you might also have a tendency to find yourself in situations with people who are toxic, okay? It may even be bad habits that we have, okay? When the Queen of Swords is in reverse, this is going to be more so picking up on the shadow energy of the Queen, which can be very cold, very calculated, very detached, very disconnected from the heart space. The Queen of Swords has the capacity in this shadow energy to be very mean, saying a lot of things that are not very nice. So some of you may have even had that experience with people who have said things that were very rude. And, you know, there could be a lot of psychological effects that we've had because of those experiences. I'm also kind of feeling some of you might kind of hold on to people or situations longer than you should. You might be someone who has a hard time letting go, hard time moving on. You might find yourself kind of stuck in limbo and not able to move forward, especially after some challenging things that you may have gone through. And so again, we might continue to give a past person or situation our energy, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, where this becomes something that just consumes you, drains you. There may even be something here surrounding some of you that have a hard time, you know, getting closure on your own, looking for more clarity and more clarity and more clarity with, again, and I feel like that's that part of the surrender to change, to letting go, where even though people could have said certain things, done certain things, or people that are actually not even in our life anymore, where we're still kind of waiting for more proof and more, you know, something more, to satisfy the ego's desires for that, you know, instead of being able sometimes to accept certain situations for what they are and understand the laws of impermanence. And sometimes there are certain people that leave our life. And we may not know all the answers and why, you know, the person even came into our life and why they're no longer here and why did this happen, and have many questions, you know. So I want to clarify this star here. We have the Ace of Wands, the King of Pentacles, and the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands energy is when we are carrying a lot of energetic weight. I always think of the message whenever I see this card of Spirit asking us, what can you let go of? What is weighing you down, you know? And even the way that this little crow here, it looks like it's carrying another crow on its back, but look how it's hunched over, you know? And I think of this as like that spiritual part of us, because if you imagine, right, like our physical body, we stand upright when we're going around in life. But then what is happening to us on a spiritual level, on an energetic level? What does that look like when we're carrying this stuff? If you can just imagine for a moment with all the things that you're holding on to right now, and what your energy body looks like, it just makes me think of like even worse than this, even worse, like so hunched over, just, completely just carrying so much that we need to let go of. So that self-healing is possible. And I do feel like Spirit is kind of, in a way, inspiring you to work on grounding your energy. We can do that by going for a walk, exercising, meditating, spending time outdoors in nature, listening to music, something that really helps us to get present moment, versus lingering with things in the past. Okay? Take some time to think about how many times just today you've been fully present. And then take some time to think about how many times throughout the day today your mind is elsewhere. Future, past. Okay? So I want to now, let's pull some oracle here. And then I do feel like you should watch group number 1, because like I said, I kind of feel like this is a continuation of that. But if you don't want to, that's okay too. Just trust that what you're receiving here during this time is what you're meant to receive. Group 2. We have overflow, number 43, with overwhelm and plenty. Yeah, I definitely feel like it's about release here. Mindful, look at that, groupthink. And this groupthink card, and I'm seeing the dust devil at the bottom, it says moving out of stagnation. The groupthink here has to do when we start to allow other people's opinions, judgments, just to kind of create clutter in our mind. This is a time for you to spend with self. Okay? Not what this person wants, what that person's doing, what this, what that, what this. This is about you. Right? Sometimes our mind is often cluttered with everything else except our own thoughts and other people's stuff and what they got going on, and it's just too much. It's a need to kind of I'm seeing it kind of like your spirit is showing me, like when you pull the plug out of the wall, disconnect. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to ask Spirit, where should you focus on your energy? And I really feel like it's you, but we'll see. So where should group 2 focus their energy instead, Spirit? Where should group 2 focus their energy? Eight of Pentacles, Five of Wands. Six of Cups. Ace of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups. I should group two focus their energy. Nine of Wands. King of Wands in reverse, Three of Swords, and the Page of Cups. Yeah, I feel like some of you are needing to focus on healing your inner child. Okay, I am seeing the Five of Cups at the bottom. This is grief. This is sadness. This is pain. Sometimes depression. A feeling of hopelessness. Disappointment, discouragement. And this feels like it's over things from the past. Things that we're still struggling with and, you know, maybe trying to process or make sense of. There's a lot of pain here. Like I said, a lot of pain here. There was a lot that was coming through in group 1 too. I feel like, you know, the emotions that we experience are, sometimes they're challenging. You know, they're hard for us to kind of move through. I do feel like it's important for you to nurture yourself. You know, the Page of Cups can be about self-love. Some of you, like I said, healing your inner child here. The Nine of Wands is also here, which is about resilience. And I know sometimes the things that we go through are difficult, sometimes for us to process emotionally. But I feel like this is also where Spirit kind of lets you know that these emotions, whatever it is that we're dealing with, going through, it's temporary. It's temporary. It's only meant to be temporary. We're not meant to stay stuck or stagnant in a certain experience that we go through in life. You know, a lot of the situations that we go through are meant to teach us something. There's sometimes a lot of, even the most challenging situations, we can have the most profound growth and personal development from, you know, apart from people who you know in your life who their life is, it seems like it's perfect, where they've never experienced darkness and challenging things. You know, I find, you know, in my own experience with connecting with other souls that I've met along my own path, that it's often the ones that have the most challenging stories, life stories, that they're so wise, and they have, you know, and especially that it is a choice too, because there's a lot of things that we go through where, you know, I feel like I've seen both sides of this, where people who've gone through difficult things, where they let that difficult thing completely consume them and they stop living, you know, and it changes them in a way where they lose themselves. And then I've also seen where people that I've met and connected with have completely changed themselves, their life. They've become empowered. And like I said, they have so much wisdom and knowledge to share. And so I do feel like Spirit is wanting you to remind you of your resilience. and to find happiness again within the self. The Ace of Pentacles is here, which is about an opportunity for a new beginning. The Ten of Cups is about fulfillment and joy and happiness and, you know, feeling happy in life and, you know, and anything else that you choose to give your time and your energy to. Some of you, this is going to be working on focusing on building up your confidence again, building up your self-esteem, feeling beautiful, feeling attractive, feeling desirable, feeling worthy. You know, where sometimes some of the experiences that we go through can take that away. Okay, so there's a lot of focus on self, a lot of taking time to really understand and express your feelings, your emotions. This could even be something that you channel through creative means, where sometimes beautiful art or music or poetry or painting or drawing or dancing or some form of self-expression can be something that you use to help you to release this energy. And maybe not so much releasing it in a traditional sense where you're just sitting around and you're angry and you're crying, but more so that you channel that energy into something beautiful. And I often find too, when I am feeling sad, most of the time it's when I'm sad, I'll paint. And just kind of let myself, like with my paints, and put all the colors out and just kind of gravitate towards the ones where I do a lot of intuitive painting, where I just kind of feel guided towards certain colors, you know, that I want to kind of use, and just do it that way. You know, I also like writing poetry, you know, things that you might find that you like to express yourself in a certain way. Okay, and that's what I feel like Spirit is wanting you to kind of channel that energy, reclaiming your power as well, you know, working on insecurities. If you're someone who does have anger issues, temper, right? I say that because we have this King of Wands in reverse. You know, this could be channeling that anger in a positive way. Okay. Oftentimes we, you know, not all the time, there are certainly some exceptions, but I often notice that sometimes when people are angry, it's really because there's pain inside. And we just might not know how to express it, you know, so we might feel angry or bitter or resentful, and it's really because we're hurt, we're feeling sad, you know, so she should certainly honor that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave it here for you, group 2. I do hope this reading was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Hi, group 3. So those of you that resonate with card number 56, we've got Thunder and the Fire Agate Heart. This is going to be a reading today. I don't know if you guys saw this earlier, but there's a bunch of bison that are running through this card here. So we're asking today, what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? I will say that there is some heavy energy that's been coming through this reading today. I was so not expecting that this is where Spirit was going to be taking this reading, but that's what's coming through today. So somebody is needing this today. Okay. So we're going to see what's coming through for you here, and then we'll get into a little bit of a deeper message with this Thunder here. So let's see, group 3. What aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? And then we're going to go in and ask Spirit, where should you be focusing your energy? Okay. So group 3, what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? We have the Knight of Swords. 3 of Swords, yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, so it's like every group, every group has been like this. It's just, I feel like maybe it's just, you know, we're dealing in the collective. Remember, when we're doing these general readings, it is collective energy, okay? So if it's not your message today, you know, you can certainly check out one of the other readings that I have. But yeah, there's some heavy energy that's coming through today. Heavy collective energy that I'm tapping into to get messages for. So we're going to honor it. It's what Spirit wants to talk about. So I don't have a choice. I totally thought this reading was going to be so different, but here we are. So we've got the Knight of Swords, the Three of Swords, and the Devil. What aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? We have the Hanged Man, the World. Now, if you do own this deck, you'll notice that my deck looks different than yours because I had to modify mine because of YouTube rules. So it's a little different. I had to put clothes on some of them. Two of Wands, Eight of Cups. Magician. Nine of Cups. Ten of Wands. Okay, so let's go into this. We'll start with that. This is the Mystical Shaman Oracle. Card 56, Thunder. Okay. So it says, legends speak of great thunder beings who live in the sky and call for your attention when great occurrences are meant to happen in the world. They warn when tensions in a situation are called upon to be released. Their presence in your reading reminds you of the dramatic moments in life that change everything. Both awesome and frightening, when thunder arrives, it is also a wake-up call, one that you will not soon forget. The invitation says, when thunder comes into your reading, it refers to a big, dramatic change that feels like a herd of wild bison on the run. You feel it right through your bones, and you know that you are powerless to influence whatever events have been set in motion. This is a time to be prepared for anything. Your life is an adventure, and wonderful opportunities are arriving now. The trick is to learn to run with them. Qualities that you'll need now more than ever are flexibility, dexterity, and a willingness to experience it all without dictating from where or in what form opportunities will come. Your destiny is arriving. Be ready. We also have a message with the medicine that says, do you feel like unnecessary drama is waylaying your life? Could you be exhausted from listening to others tell you their never-ending victim story, or could you be telling yourself a version of the same? It's time for an about-face. You're being warned that to continue on this path will cause you to regret your choices, even if they appear benign or familiar. It's time to say no to drama, both yours and others. Focus on solutions rather than problems. You are worthy of a drama-free life. So maybe that message is for some of you that could be going through something like that, okay? Now, our question today, what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? And your major arcana that you have here, you've got, what, 4 of them? You've got the Devil, you've got the Hanged Man, the World, and then you also have the Magician. it kind of feels like there's something here that is taking your power away. Okay, now this could be something that's outside of you, meaning that this is in connection to another person, another situation. But this can also be an aspect of yourself, because the devil energy has a lot to do with our shadow self. It has to do with our ego, more so the unhealthy aspects of the ego. The devil also has to do with the material world. Okay. The Hanged Man is about disillusionment. It's about enlightenment and insight. It is Neptune energy. The devil is Saturn energy, which is rules Capricorn. And then we have the Magician here, which is about your power. It is about manifestation. It is about focused intention. It is Mercury energy. It feels like there's something here that affects your, perhaps for some of you, your choices. And the Hangman has a lot to do with our perspective, or changing perspective. So I feel like I want to clarify this devil here to see kind of what is going on within that energy. Now, the devil is an energy that makes us feel trapped. It makes us feel limited, restricted. And again, this could be something outside of us, a person, a situation, or it may be a part of ourself that manipulates, controls our thoughts. And so this is also, I feel like, about you being able to free yourself from that energy. So let's see why this devil is here. I've got the Nine of Wands, Four of Pentacles, and the Knight of Pentacles. Who is that? Oh boy. Okay, somebody's delivering something, but if they get too noisy, then it's like the whole truck is backing up over here. Okay. Four of Pentacles. This is about possession, control. It feels like, okay. This feels like something that's keeping you stuck. Because the Hangman is also a card about indecision. It isn't about stagnancy. No action, no movement. And the Four of Pentacles is about possession. It's about control. I don't like his face. But the Knight of Pentacles is also here, which is about sometimes hesitation, procrastination. This also makes me feel like we could sometimes kind of get stuck in the comfort zone with not making changes. The devil also has to do with fear. You've got your Two of Wands over here, which is about making plans. It's about making choices. The Knight of Swords is about focus and just kind of doing something, getting something done. But it feels like there's this energy here that's weighing on you. And it could be just you. it feels like you're holding yourself back from desires here. Things that you want to accomplish, things that you want to work towards. The Nine of Cups has to do with fulfillment, satisfaction, contentment, making your dreams come true, wishes come true, and being able to focus and get that done. So what is this energy for you? I feel like we should clarify thunder here. How is this thunder showing up in group 3's life? What is this? King of Swords. A star. Oh, the Tower. This feels like a breakthrough for you. Because the King of Swords here is about clarity, logic. The Tower here is the breakdown of a false reality. The Devil creates an illusion. This makes me feel like there's some kind of fear-based energy that's keeping you stuck. From change, from stepping outside of your comfort zone. And the star, I feel like, is helping to align you with your destiny, right? Because that thunder energy is talking about change in a powerful way, which the Tower can sometimes cause upheaval in our life. It could sometimes be something that happens very sudden and something we don't see coming, something that we don't expect. So something's changing here for sure. There, and I feel like it's a good thing, right? Because this card is talking about something positive. Your destiny, what did it say? Your destiny's arriving, or your destiny's calling? 56. Oops. I think it said your destiny's arriving. Also a wake-up call, and one that you will not soon forget. Time to be prepared for anything. Your life is an adventure. The qualities you need right now are flexibility, dexterity, and a willingness to experience it all without dictating from where or in what form opportunities will come. Your destiny is arriving. Be ready. So those of you that have been dealing with stagnancy in your life, or being stuck in fear of doing something, fear of change, fear of pursuing goals, dreams, desires. This makes me feel, when we're asking this question, what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? The devil. The devil is fear. The devil is illusions. For some of you, this might even be stuck in a place of financial insecurity, scarcity mindset, poverty consciousness, even holding on to things that are unhealthy habits, indecision. Like, we want to do something, we're planning it. Oh, I want to do that. We talk about it, we think about it, but we don't do it. So the Tower it most certainly gets you moving to help to align you with your destiny so that you see clearly, because this is higher consciousness with this King of Swords. The devil energy is, like I said, it's very limiting, it's very restrictive, it's very fear-based. our own thoughts can control us and manipulate us and say, oh no, don't do that. What's going to happen? What if this? What if that happens? You know. So let's take a look at this Tower here. The Strength card. This is where you get your power back. Six of Wands. And the Sun. Beautiful. So you are going to move through this energy. For those of you that have been experiencing a lot of fear-based thinking, financial insecurity, afraid of change, things not progressing, not moving where you want them to. And I feel like it's because, when we're asking again, question, what aspect of your life is taking up too much of your attention? It's the devil energy. It's the material world. So it almost kind of makes me feel that we're potentially functioning from a place of survival mode. Or maybe we've had to, because of certain things that have been going on in life. But the Strength card here is about bravery, confidence, courage. The Six of Wands is success, victory, being able to accomplish something or being able to overcome something. And maybe it's your fears. The Sun is here, which is about happiness and joy and abundance. Being able to experience that, being able to overcome your fears, which is definitely a milestone. Okay? Where the devil might put us into that fear-based thinking that's very illogical. The King of Swords is very logical. This is us being mastery of the swords. The swords have to do with our thoughts, our ideas, our words that we speak to others within the self, our own inner voice, the actions that we take. That's us being in control, not giving our power away to the unhealthy aspect of the ego. So there might be, right, a lot of, like I said, fear-based thinking, a lot of material world things that we worry about, right? Money, possessions, which the Four of Pentacles is about possessions. It's about financial security, stability, and there may be, right, a genuine reason why we could have lost a job. We could be dealing with job loss. We could be dealing with, not being able to find a job. Money slow to be made. Barely making ends meet. Living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of responsibilities here. And that might kind of leave you where you feel like you're in a place like of limbo in your life. Like, what's next? Where do I go from here? What is supposed to happen? But a lot of that comes from us also being able to, with whatever opportunities come our way, to be open to overcoming the fears, to take advantage of those opportunities to change our situation, right? And this is Spirit saying, change is happening. Your destiny is arriving, you're getting in alignment, and that, of course, might mean we're stepping outside of our comfort zone. We're doing something different. Maybe it's something that we haven't done before, and it might be a little scary, but that Strength card here is where we overcome the fears and we are victorious in doing so. We're able to achieve something here. So this can certainly be helping to move you out of a place of stagnancy in your life, to be able to kind of see how things unfold in a new way, that are far more beneficial to you. And when I think about your Thunder card there, I can't help but, what is that? Is that AC/DC? Is that? I think it is, right? Yeah, Thunderstruck, right? AC/DC. As soon as I see your card, I think about that song. But imagine that for a moment, you know, you're hearing the rumble, the rumble of the bison, where the entire earth underneath you is just rumbling from them coming in. But that also tells me it's like, it's big energy, you know, it's big energy. So let's pull some oracle here. Okay, so what else for group number 3, Spirit? What else for group number 3? Pachamama, that's Mother Earth. We also have the owl and water. This isn't even the deck that I intended to use, but we're using it. I wanted to use a different one for you guys. This is Mother Earth. We've got the owl here, which to me, I always think of that as like wisdom, insight, the water energy with your intuition. This could probably be with knowing what to do, right? What to do next, where you're being guided. The star is also a need for us to trust, to have faith, to believe. Okay, so now I want to ask Spirit here, what where are you meant to focus right now? Because like I said, a lot of this looks like we're focusing a lot on material. You know, that could be money, like I said, power, possessions, you know. So if you, I mean, with material things, sometimes that can be a problem, right? Because we're focused too much on what we're driving, what we're wearing, how much money we're making, which of course money's important, right? We've got to survive. But sometimes we can be overly focused on, because this can even go into an energy of greed, which so can the Four of Pentacles. They can both be about greed. Okay? So do we have too much focus on money? Material things? Or we should be shifting the focus for some of you elsewhere with getting into alignment with your spiritual path, or the more spiritual aspect of yourself, aside from just material things. Okay? So let's see, where should you focus your energy? Devil. I was just gonna say too, I used to be a very materialistic person. Incredibly materialistic. I always had to have like everything having to do with fashion. I needed to have the best bags, shoes, clothes, makeup. You know, the devil is also about overindulging too. You know, so are we spending too much? Are we too many adult beverages? too much unhealthy food, because this is doing things outside of moderation, overdoing it to an unhealthy way, right? Which includes any types of things that we might have an attachment to. People, situations, bad habits that we might have. Okay. The devil is also about control. So are we being manipulative? Are we being controlling? Are we being possessive? Do we have unhealthy, toxic behaviors? Are we functioning too much from our ego? The unhealthy aspect of the ego. You know, the devil has to do with obsession, attachment, codependency, greed, power, control, any type of like bad habits. Okay, I have to kind of watch my words carefully with how I say that because of YouTube, but you guys get the point, right? There's a lot of bad habits that we can have. So when we're asking spirits, what should you focus on? We have the devil that's showing up first. Let's see what else. What should you focus on? Your ego? Are we making ego-based decisions versus more spirit, soulful led decisions and choices in life? Are we trying to satisfy all ego's desires, which could temporarily make us happy, right? Give us that satisfaction, make us feel powerful, make us feel, are we kind of doing things in a way to make quick money where these might be not the best practices, or let's see what else. Where do you need to focus? The Magician. I don't know if I like those together, but Eight of Wands in reverse. Your intention. The kind of energy that we're putting out. Where you're directing your energy. Justice. Now, justice is about doing the right thing, making the right choices. It's also about righting past wrongs. Six of Cups. The Five of Swords in reverse. Three of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, and the Nine of Cups. Okay. Yeah. I really kind of feel like Spirit is wanting you to focus on moving away from making more fear-based decisions. And of course, we have to have self-awareness for that. We have to be aware of like that when we are trying to decide about what we're going to do, that we're not letting fear drive it. Okay, so this can be a focus on keeping yourself more grounded, right? So that we can truly focus our energy and take the kind of action that we need to in order for us to achieve the best outcome, in order for you to achieve happiness and fulfillment. This could even be paying attention to self-sabotaging thoughts that we might have. Okay. The Knight of Pentacles is also here. This is about commitment, organization. Perhaps some of you could be coming up with a routine, being more disciplined, being more organized, taking steps towards a longer term goal that you might have. If you're someone who has a tendency to procrastinate, this could really be taking that first step. to working towards the bigger goal. Committing yourself, even if it's baby steps, because the Knight of Pentacles is moving slowly, but this is more purposeful. This is more intentional with how we move. Okay, trying to create more balance, more harmony in our life could also be something for you, group 3. I do want to look at this Devil again. We've got the King of Wands, the Moon, and the Seven of Pentacles. I'm seeing the High Priestess here with the Page of Swords and the Seven of Cups. I do feel like Spirit's wanting you to tune into your intuition more, because sometimes the ego's noisy, because the ego is our conscious thinking mind. The ego can sometimes be quite loud, okay, noisy, and it kind of overshadows our inner voice. Our intuition is quiet, okay? And so I feel like there's a need for you to kind of observe what it is that your own inner voice, your own intuition is kind of telling you, and to how to, you know, kind of sort through fear that can certainly create confusion, or even looking at how certain things or influential energies might manipulate the thoughts that we have, and how to learn to discern the difference between the two, and what is truly coming from your intuition that's guiding you versus the ego kind of taking you off your path. Okay? All right, so I'm going to leave this here for you, group number 3. I do hope this reading was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next one.